I've lived with rheumatoid arthritis for 15 years, and the hardest part? It's not the pain. It's not the limitations. It's not even the flare-ups. It's the mental toll that nobody talks about. The grief for the life you used to have, the isolation, the guilt, the constant negotiation with your own body, the feeling that you're failing when you're actually surviving. I'm Elmarie, and today we're talking about what they don't tell you about living with chronic illness, the part that happens in your mind. When I was first diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in 2009, people gave me information about medications, symptom management, and lifestyle changes. Nobody told me about the depression. Nobody warned me about the anxiety. Nobody mentioned that I would grieve my old body, my old capabilities, my old life. Chronic illness isn't just a physical experience. It's a mental health crisis that you're expected to manage silently, while also managing pain, fatigue, medical appointments, and trying to maintain some version of a normal life. And if you're struggling mentally, there's this unspoken message that you're not trying hard enough, not staying positive enough, not managing it right. But here's the truth. The mental toll of chronic illness is real, it's valid, and it's not your fault. Today, I'm sharing 5 things they don't tell you about the mental health impact of chronic illness. Not from a textbook, from 15 years of living it. Thing number 1, the grief is real and it comes in waves. When you're first diagnosed with a chronic illness, you're grieving the person you were before, the activities you could do without thinking, the energy you had, the spontaneity, the certainty that your body would cooperate. I grieved being able to open jars without asking for help. I grieved being able to walk without planning rest breaks. I grieved long days where I didn't have to ration my energy like it was a limited resource. And here's what they don't tell you. The grief doesn't happen once and then you're done. It comes in waves. You think you've accepted your illness, and then you have a good week and you forget your limitations. You push too hard. You pay for it with a flare-up. And you're grieving all over again. Or you see someone your age doing something you used to do easily, and the grief hits out of nowhere. This isn't weakness. This isn't lack of acceptance. This is normal. You're allowed to grieve what you've lost. You're allowed to be sad about it. You're allowed to have good days where you're at peace with your illness, and bad days where you rage against it. Chronic illness is a series of losses, and grief doesn't follow a timeline. Thing number 2, the isolation is suffocating. Chronic illness is isolating in ways that are hard to explain to people who don't live it. You cancel plans because you're in too much pain. Again. And eventually, people stop inviting you. Not because they're cruel, but because they assume you'll say no anyway. You can't keep up with the pace of social activities. While everyone else is planning their 3rd event of the weekend, you're calculating if you have enough energy to shower. And even when you do show up, there's a wall between you and everyone else. They're complaining about being tired from staying up late. You're tired because your body is constantly fighting itself. It's not the same, but you can't explain that without sounding like you're competing or complaining. Nobody wants to hear about your pain. Not really. Not every day, not every week. So you learn to say I'm fine when people ask how you are, because the truth is too much, too often, too heavy. And then you feel even more alone, because nobody knows how much you're struggling. The isolation isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's feeling like nobody understands, nobody can understand. And you're exhausting people by existing with an illness that won't go away. If you feel isolated, you're not imagining it. Chronic illness is isolating. And that isolation affects your mental health profoundly. Thing number 3, the guilt is constant. You feel guilty for canceling plans, for needing help, for not being able to do things you used to do, for being too much for your partner, your family, your friends. You feel guilty for taking up space in the healthcare system, for needing accommodations at work for asking people to slow down or wait for you. You feel guilty on good days for not doing more while you feel okay. You feel guilty on bad days for not pushing through harder. You feel guilty for being in pain when other people have it worse. You feel guilty for complaining when you're lucky it's not a terminal illness. The guilt is relentless. And it's compounded by a society that tells you health is a personal responsibility. If you're sick, you must be doing something wrong. Not eating clean enough. Not exercising enough. Not thinking positively enough. Not trying hard enough. So you blame yourself. You carry guilt for having a body that doesn't work the way it's supposed to. But here's what I've learned after 15 years. You are not a burden. You did not cause your illness. You are not responsible for other people's discomfort with your limitations. Your illness is not a moral failing. It's a medical condition. And you deserve care, support, and compassion, including from yourself. Thing number 4, the medical trauma is real. Nobody talks about the mental health impact of navigating the medical system with a chronic illness. The appointments where doctors dismissed your pain, the times you were told it's all in your head, the gaslighting when you knew something was wrong but your labs came back normal, the trial and error of medications, the side effects, the insurance battles, the financial stress of treatments that may or may not work, the specialists who spend 7 minutes with you and make you feel like you're wasting their time, the times you've had to advocate for yourself when you're already exhausted, the dismissal, the doubt, the feeling that you have to prove you're sick enough to deserve treatment. And if you're a woman, the medical gaslighting is even worse. Your pain is more likely to be dismissed. Your symptoms are more likely to be attributed to anxiety or stress. You have to fight harder to be believed. This creates medical trauma. You start to dread appointments. You delay seeking care because you can't face another dismissive doctor. You second-guess your own experience because you've been doubted so many times. This is real. This affects your mental health, and it's not your fault. You deserve doctors who listen. You deserve to be believed. And you deserve to feel safe in medical spaces. Thing number 5, you're surviving, not failing. Here's what they don't tell you about chronic illness and mental health. Every day you get through with chronic illness is an achievement. Getting out of bed when your body screams in protest, that's strength. Managing your symptoms, going to appointments, trying treatments, that's effort. Showing up to work, caring for your family, maintaining friendships despite pain and fatigue, that's heroic. But chronic illness makes you feel like you're failing because you're not doing as much as you used to, because you had to quit that job, because you canceled those plans, because you need help with things you used to do independently. Society measures success by productivity, achievement, and independence. And chronic illness makes all of those harder or impossible on some days. So you feel like you're failing, like you're not enough, like everyone else is lapping you while you're just trying to survive. But here's the truth: survival is enough. You are not failing because you're doing less than you used to. You're adapting. You're managing an incredibly difficult situation that most people can't imagine. You're negotiating with a body that doesn't work the way you need it to, and you're still here. Still trying. Still showing up in whatever capacity you can. That's not failure. That's resilience. Stop measuring yourself against who you were before diagnosis or against people without chronic illness. You're running a different race. And you're doing it while carrying a weight they don't have to carry. You're surviving. And that is more than enough. If you're struggling mentally with chronic illness, please know, it's not a sign you're not coping well. It's a natural response to an incredibly difficult situation. Depression, anxiety, grief, these are common with chronic illness. You're not weak for experiencing them. You're human. What actually helps? finding community with other people who have chronic illness. They get it in a way healthy people can't. Therapy with someone who understands chronic illness. Not someone who wants to fix your mindset. Someone who validates the reality of what you're living. Adjusting your expectations. You can't do what you used to do. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're adapting. Treating yourself with the same compassion you'd show someone else with your condition. You wouldn't tell them they're weak or lazy. Don't say it to yourself. And finally, it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to stay positive all the time. You don't have to inspire anyone. You just have to survive the day. And sometimes that's all you can do. And that's okay. Living with chronic illness is hard. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. It changes everything. The grief, the isolation, the guilt, the medical trauma, the feeling that you're failing when you're actually surviving. These are real. They matter. And you're not alone in feeling them. If you're living with chronic illness and struggling with the mental toll, I see you. I believe you. And I'm here to tell you, you're doing better than you think you are. This is Haven Space, where we talk about the hard things, the real things, the things nobody else wants to discuss. If this resonated, subscribe. Let's keep having these honest conversations. I'll see you in the next one.